So I want to make a comment when it comes to relationships, marriages, and, the concept of, you know, friends. All right. There are some people that believe that when you get married, you don't need friends anymore. That ultimately the only friend that you need is your fucking significant other. That's bullshit. All right. Not to mention that, but think that you got to go ahead and get rid of your old friends and only have friends that you end up making as couples. That's bullshit. All right. Ultimately, there, there are just too many double standards in that aspect. Like, for example, if you're with somebody, you're married to somebody, and they find out that, one of your friends ended up going ahead and, having an affair on their spouse, and the person you're married to expects you to go ahead and cut ties with them. No, that's bullshit. Ultimately, that right there, that's the partner that's asking to go ahead and have the other person cut off. That's their insecurities showing. Because they're thinking, alright, so I know that person has the capability of cheating. So by extension, they could go ahead and wear down the person I'm married to lack so much empathy that they'd be capable of cheating. Not always the case. Not to mention that, but also the insecurity ends up stepping in of, well, how do I know that this person hasn't either been, the person I'm married to hasn't even either been giving an alibi, to the person's infidelity, or ultimately, how do I know that, because of them being friends and everything, that when they go to hang out, that, they're not also end up being an alibi, for their indiscretions, and that ultimately, their friend ended up getting caught cheating. But I haven't found the proof to prove that the person that I'm married to cheated. But I just, at this point, just need to assume that the person that I'm married to is a cheater because they had a friend who cheated. That's not how that works. So, and also, too, context of the situation needs to be kept in mind. Like, for example, there are some people that are like, oh, so you've cheated somebody in the past. You deserve the equivalent of the fucking death penalty. Well, there are circumstances that, there are people that end up going ahead and cheating after literally being just completely and utterly emotionally dejected by their significant other for years on end, while being expected to go ahead and stay faithful, while at the same time, the person that they were married to has no plans whatsoever of actually trying to make anything solid, in the relationship or in the marriage. And usually when that happens, it's the person that ends up showing the lack of empathy that's the one actually stepping out in the fucking marriage. Alright? So, ultimately, staying friends with somebody, a friend of yours that you had that was a longtime friend, that ended up cheating on their significant other, is that wrong? No. Not always. Circumstantial, but not always. Alright? Because, for example, considering the factor that, keep in mind, I'm being straightforward on this. I have never cheated on anyone. Alright? If I felt like the relationship was done, I called it off. If I felt like it's ran its course, I let the person know it's ran its course. If I felt like there was no way to be able to fix some of the circumstances that just caused more and more and more emotional damage trying to fix something that clearly is never going to actually end up being fixed, regardless of the amount putting effort in, I've called it off. Alright? Now, ultimately, because of the fact that I've slept with, somewhere around 30 people. Alright? It's been assumed that just because of the factor that I've slept around in the past, that automatically means that I'm a cheater. That automatically means that I'm incapable of staying faithful. All this shit. While at the same time, too, what also tends to get ignored is the factor that I've been in very long-term relationships. Literally from the point that I was a teenager that just extended on and on and on. And it was when I actually didn't have a relationship that I was just like, fuck it. I'm not a virgin, so it's not like I need to do that whole save myself for marriage thing. And, I swore off religion. So, there's no reason for me to go ahead and be keeping my dick in my pants. Alright? But ultimately, never have any of the long-term relationships that I've had coincided with each other. Not to mention that, but I don't give exes another chance. When it comes to people, like that I've slept with during the point of sleeping around, that there was never any forwardness as far as potential of a relationship, because whether they decided that that was a circumstance or I decided that was a circumstance, it was at least spoken forwardly. It wasn't even coerced consent of, yeah, let's have this, one night fling. It was literally like, hey, I mean, if you're down for it, I'm down for it, but I'm just letting you know, I don't know where this is going to lead, because right now, I'm not in a place that I'm looking for something, stably and everything, but I don't want that to end up being a ruling out factor, whether, we're actually able to have a friendship or get to go ahead and learn more about each other to learn if, you would actually be a stable foundation in my life. My point is, the double standard bullshit and the micro cheating bullshit, that just needs to stop. Alright? You can't determine somebody else's character on, well, this is the way that this happened with them, so that way, the way it's going to end up happening here. I mean, great example. I just had one of my exes go ahead, hit me up via email. Want to check up on me. Alright? Now keep in mind, we were together for almost 3 years. Alright? She was very much so my support system when my family was abusive as fuck. Alright? Ultimately, when we broke up, I didn't take it well. I was suicidal because of the abuse factors for my family. Obviously, losing the one person that, for years was a solid foundation for me. It was difficult. But eventually, I ended up moved away. We disconnected, and ultimately, throughout the years, she's randomly, hit me up, see how I'm doing, just to check up on me, check to make sure that I'm still alive, check to, see if I'm doing okay, mental health check, grateful for that, but ultimately, doesn't mean that I'm in a position to go ahead and start, venting to her and opening up to her again and everything, Ultimately, one thing that time taught me is, in the past, I've thought that there were people in my life that I could not live without. But I've learned from personal experience of living without them that there's nobody that I can not live without. I've done it once, I can do it again. So, my point on this is, don't automatically assume because of the past, that, everything's going to end up lining up the way you fucking predicted it. Because with that specific ex, it would have been told that there would be a day that I wouldn't open up to them. In the meantime, I used to be like a lovesick puppy dog, going home early, talking to them for hours on end, just, spilling my guts. Literally my social life ended up being impacted by it, I dropped everything for them. So the people that knew me to be the type that would drop anything for that person, them hearing, oh, wait, there's a day that you literally would be able to just be like, fuck it. I don't even need to talk to you. They would be shocked as shit. Alright? Point being, stop trying to make predictions on the people they surround themselves, personal choices. That other people's choices don't have to be your choices and reflect on you. It's called self-identity. It's called knowing thyself. It's called having an understanding.